Okay, hello jewelry divas. Today I'm gonna teach you how to make what I call the circle of life ring. And I say that because when I teach the wire wrap 2 um, course, we focus on the Egyptians, and they believed that circles represented the continuation of life. And they were also the ones to design the ring as a representation of that. So yeah, that's your sneak peek into part of the Wire Wrap 2 course. So today, this ring should take you about, I'm gonna say 5 minutes, not even. So, and this is the ring here that we're making, or something similar to it, because I always change it. So it depends on what I feel like doing right now. That's my truth. Y'all know how I am. Anywho, so we're going to have our 16 gauge wire, and it doesn't have to be that long. You know that I do not measure, just because I like to have extra. If you don't want to be like me, that's fine. Um, I just always cut a long piece of wire just so I can flow continuously. But my wire does not go to waste. Y'all know that. I save my scraps, and it transforms into something else. So anyway, we have our bench block, which I always tell you that you can get from Michael's or online, and it runs between, I'm gonna say, $16 to $20, something like that. Never pay full price. Find a coupon. We're also going to be using our jeweler's hammer, not the hammer that you get from the hardware store. Okay, we're going to use the jeweler's hammer. And I want to say that this part here, this flat side, makes everything flat. But this side here, I like to use when I want to create texture into the wire. So, little dents to give it a little attitude, because sometimes when you're making rings, you want a little attitude. Okay. Um, so then we have our ring mandrel. Okay, so we can create rings all the way from size 1 to size 15. This I found at Joann Fabrics for, what was the price, y'all? Well, under, was it around 3 something? Well, either way, I didn't pay full price for it, so I don't know if I'm telling you the sale price or the regular price, but this also can be ordered online. And we're making an adjustable ring today, so I'll explain that in a minute. Let's get familiar with our team here, because anytime you're working together, you are a team, especially when you have a desired outcome. Okay, so our tools are the round nose pliers, and just a little refresher, the round nose pliers are the pliers that we use to make those delicious loops. Okay, and depending on what size loop that you want, um, if you want a bigger loop, you would start here at the top, and then if you want a smaller loop, you go down to the tip. Okay, so I get a lot of questions from my students saying, well, Angela, how do you make consistent loops? I almost said lips, y'all. But how do you make consistent loops? Well, there's a trick to that. I don't use a trick, but I'll tell you what it is, because sharing is caring. If you take, and I'm reaching for my Sharpie. If you take a Sharpie and you draw a line, I'm pretending to draw the line. I'm not really drawing the line. But if you draw the line on your tools and you line the wire up to that point all the time, you'll get that consistent size loop. Okay. I just like to eyeball it because, again, I don't know why. That's a lie. I don't like to measure because I feel like when I'm creating, I don't want to follow the rules. Oh, you guys have a rebellious teacher. Well, anyway, so this is our round nose pliers. And again, it is great for making the loops. And we're actually going to be getting loopy today in order to make the swirl. Okay, so we're making a bunch of circles. Usually when we make, when I'm teaching you how to do the regular wrap, I call this the alligator because look at that. Chomp, chomp, chomp. It looks like an alligator. So you'll learn, if you haven't learned that lingo already, you will learn that. Let me see where I want to put these. These are our flat nose pliers. And as you see, it has a flat nose with a nice tip to it. So I call these the cleaner. So usually if you hear me say, okay, so after you finish wrapping, clean it up. That means bring the cleaner on in so he can do his job and clean up the mess. You know, oh, there's a story. He has his name the cleaner because if you were, you know, I always watch like the stories about the mob. He comes and cleans up the mess so no one can tell who did what, where it began, or where it started. You got to find the clues. That's all delicious. We won't get into that right now. That's just a little side story. Our last part of the click, the trio, are the cutters, and that's self-explanatory. It's gonna cut your wire, and every time you cut, you want to get close to where you're cutting. Okay, so you can get a clean cut. I think some people call this flush cutters. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something about me right now. I do not use technical jewelry language because it sounds so professional and that's delicious, but I like to personify whatever I'm doing. Okay, so that's just me. I like it to be a lot more fun, easier language so you can remember, and I love colorful language. So my disclaimer is if you hear me say a curse word, it may be an accident because I try not to do that on camera. Roll with it. Okay, so we have our 16 gauge wire. This is not aluminum. Okay, this is 16 gauge non-tarnished wire. I like to play with stuff. But you can start to straighten your wire with your hands because the heat from your fingers is what's helping to straighten the wire a little bit. Also, you're pouring your energy into the wire, and I'm always going to say that because there is a such thing as having negative energy and positive energy, and you always, always, always want to have positive energy. You are also training the wire to, you see I talk with my hands a lot, but you are also training the wire to get to know you, to respect what you're about to do, and to let the wire know that you are the one in charge. The wire is not the one in charge. So once you master that relationship, boom, it's going to bend like butter, baby, and be real smooth. Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our round nose pliers, and we're going to grab the end of the wire. Okay. I want to go from top to bottom, up and down. And let's see, I think I want my loop to be, because this is going to be the beginning loop, okay? Oh, so I think I want it to be a little small. So you can start twisting your wire so that you get a loop, okay? Now, usually when people teach this, I'll just tell you because it's a thing, they would continue the loop by grabbing it with the cleaners. I don't like it. I'm not doing it. If that's your thing, go ahead. But I'm teaching you the way I like. Okay? That's why I'm different. So, I'm going to take my round nose, insert it into the loop, and just guide the loop around like this. And I want to make sure that it's side by side. Why am I quiet? I can hear myself breathing. And then I come and I'll kind of guide, because this is a heavier gauge, but I kind of guide it like this. And I don't know, I'm in love with my round nose. Nothing against the cleaner, I just don't trust it. Okay, so I don't want my loop to be too big, because that's just me. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to bring the loop onto our bench block, and I'm going to hammer it a little bit. Every time I do that, the camera shakes, and it's cool. So because I already know that I'm a size 7, I'm going to line that wire up right on the 7. Wait, I just moved it. Okay. Yep. It's right on there, you guys. Just trust me. So I'm going to hold that with my thumb, right? And I'm going to bend the wire around this way. I'm still doing it, you guys. I have to get out of my own way sometimes. Okay, so that's where we are. That's a size 7. Okay. And so now, what I want to do, because it's adjustable, and I know that this is the size that I want, but say like if my sister is a size 8 or whatever, and she wants to wear my ring, she can always open the ring. I always start with a 7 when I make an adjustable rings, because usually this is like the average size, and it would fit for me on my middle finger. My size 6 is my wedding finger. I mean, if it was on the other hand. And so that's how I go. Just know your ring size, or get a ring sizer, which I would show you, but it's all the way across the room. So we'll save that for another video. So I'm gonna slide this off of my ring mandrel, and I'm going to cut it about here, because I really want a very small spiral. So now that the wire is facing that way, because I'm gonna roll it on in this way, let's do that. So I grab the wire here, and I just start to turn it a little bit, then I insert it, and I keep going. And what, oh, did you hear that click? Maybe not. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure it's side by side. And I just like mine to be on the side a little bit, for just a little attitude. Like this one, right? So now we have a little one and we have a big one. The big one is the one that matters, and we've hammered that already. So now we'll take the small side, place it right on the edge of that block, and wait, I want to open it up a little bit so that I don't mess this up. So put it right on that block, and hammer it. And that's to harden it and bring it back together. I don't want it there. I want it right there. So still a size 7. If I want it to be, I don't want it that way. It doesn't matter. I always go the opposite of everybody else. But it's a size 7. So I'll take this one off and put it on. Look at that. How phenomenal. Now, if I want to close it a little more, that changes the design a bit. Even if I open it a little bit more, changes the design a little bit. So you're giving yourself or your customer the option of how they actually want the ring to look. And this is our finished piece.